this week. Hello,
Nope,
everybody.
no one cares.
Happy.
Hello.
I care. My goodness. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Um, Usually today is question and answer, and usually we have some people that jump on. So I'm gonna between Dana and I, we're gonna monitor the Facebook page just to see if anybody really jumps on and is asking us any questions. Let me just fiddle around with this a little bit. But before we get into any of the major questions that people are going to ask us, I wanted to just give me a second here. Is it going to open up? Any of the major? Okay, there we go. So I can see the Facebook Live. And if anybody wants to jump on with any kind of specific questions, you can let us know. But until then, I had a few questions during the week that I wanted to just kind of answer very briefly. And one of them was about magnesium and aches and pains for, and this is a new term I just learned. What is it called? It's for people that are over 50. Let's see if I quintegorians. I don't know. I'm terrible with pronunciation.
Why do you want to be termed a quintegorian?
I don't know. It's 50 somethings. Yeah, you were 30 somethings, you were 20 somethings. We're our 50 somethings now. And we have a tendency to kind of be all in that same place in our lives where we, especially women, we tend to, start the wear and tear that life has presented us through our 20s and 30s and our 40s is kind of catching up to us, because this is the time that we want to enjoy ourselves, but it's going, no, you have to sleep more. No, you can't enjoy wine like you used to. No, you can't move as fast or as well as you used to. All these things, your brain doesn't work quite as well as it used to. All these different things that seem to catch up with us as we age because of the wear and tear, perhaps, that we've put on our bodies over the last 20 or 30 years. The aches and pains. I know I have a tendency now to even have a lot of aches and pains. Perhaps it's because I don't move my body just as much as I should be. And I think this is what my issue is specifically. But for other people, and I do have a lot of inflammation, which I'm really working towards cutting back and eliminating my gluten. This is kind of my goal for this year. It comes and goes. There's times where I can go gluten-free, not a problem, and other times, and sugar-free, and other times that it's just like, no, need that piece of bread. I need a sandwich. And then of course I pay for it afterwards. I really do notice the difference. But so yeah, I had some people come up to me and ask me, like, I've got these aches and pains and I don't know, they just sort of come on suddenly. I walk for an hour a day already. I'm almost gluten-free. I'm pretty much, have no refined sugars in my diet. I have, I sleep pretty good. What's going on? Why like this? So she says she takes a calcium and magnesium supplement, which really does help, because magnesium in itself is a bit of a muscle relaxer, and it can anything that kind of is twitching in your body, that's that electrolyte imbalance perhaps, and supplementing with magnesium can really, really help with that, especially if you have that restless leg situation or more aches and pains just before going to sleep at night. Magnesium is always a good one for that. Yeah. So, covering all those bases, she was like, yep, I do that. I do that. I do that. I do that. But, this is the kind of situation where it becomes very individualized and very bioidentical. So, I would really definitely have to look a little bit further into this lady's situation and her diet and her regular routine, lifestyle routine, and everything else. to figure out what is going on. And she said she was going to go to the doctors and get a bunch of blood work, and which is something that, you know, is always a good thing to do before coming to see me. And that way I can look at the blood work right up, and then, you know, be able to have a more definite idea about what and how to proceed further from there. But these are kind of things that seem to be popping up for a lot of people our age. I mean, not everybody. There's always going to be, you know, a handful of people that have been pretty much active all their lives and continue that into their older years or the second half of their life. And, you know, these people are, it's already a habitual thing for them to, you know, drink 3 liters of water a day, to go out and walk, hike, you know, 6 or 7 kilometers a day or whatever. These are things that are come normal to a lot of people, but a lot don't. So, you know, they start getting these symptoms and wondering what they can do to alleviate it. So, magnesium. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And like I said, magnesium is one of those minerals that is very much needed. And if you are having any kind of signs and symptoms of twitching or muscle cramps or any kind of mild seizures, hopefully if you're having a seizure, you're going to go see your doctor, but definitely cramping in your toes. A lot of times, you know, when you go to bed and you lie down and then all of a sudden your legs start seizing up, these are kind of symptoms that there's an electrolyte imbalance. I would definitely say drink a lot of water, because it could be a dehydration situation too. But with that dehydration, you're low on your electrolytes, and magnesium is one of the really good ones to be able to help with that. Some people have a hard time taking magnesium, and it's if you take too much, it can definitely give you a bowel situation, because magnesium citrate is milk of magnesia. It is that laxative that people take to improve constipation. But the thing is, you got to think, the peristaltic maneuvering of the gut is a muscle contraction, and magnesium is a muscle relaxant. So it just allows things to flow quite nicely, but it releases the muscle tension in the legs as well too. You're pretty quiet there this morning, my dear.
You're talking. Go ahead.
Is anybody asking any questions? Anybody joining?
Usually the question I get asked about magnesium is how much magnesium is too much. And again, that goes back to, if your stools become explosive, then you back up. But you cannot take, there's not a point of taking too much magnesium, that's for sure. No. And so if it depends. AOR has a great little PDF about, no, and CanPrev, but I think it's AOR. One of them have a great little worksheet about the different types of magnesium, because there's different types of magnesiums to be utilized for different functions of the body. They have a great blend called Synergy, and it contains quite a variety of different magnesiums if you're trying to multitask with a magnesium, because not only is it for pain management, inflammation reduction, helping sleep management, and helping with stool management, each of those actually utilize a different type of magnesium in the process of things. So if that seems to be a struggle and you're trying to up that because it's not, it's depleted in our soil, and so it's not back into plants as it should be, you definitely want to utilize a great formula like the Synergy formula. If you're trying to work with, and then I do get asked questions about what types, and how do I do this, and why do I have loose stool? The biglycinate formula usually helps with that pain management and that longer term higher dose that your practitioners talk to you about in using magnesium as well. But there are some really simple formulas that work, like beautiful, especially for sleep and especially for restless leg and for Charlie horses and those types of syndromes where you need that. And again, it goes right back to many of the deficit syndromes you see with mineral deficiency. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are so afraid of fruit nowadays. I mean, because of the whole sugar thing and not understanding that, yes, there is sugar in fruit, but it's a different kind of sugar. That's another story altogether. But in taking in a banana, you have, everybody says, well, it's the potassium in bananas, but no, there's a significant amount of magnesium in bananas as well too. So if you eat a banana before bed, this can be really help with a lot of those issues too. So if you're not the type of person that likes to take supplements, there's always food first, but with the understanding that food these days are not as sufficient in the nutrients that we need. And if you're at the point where you're getting a lot of symptoms, then definitely a supplement is going to be needed. Sometimes magnesium can be a little bit harsh on the body as well too. So, just having a nice warm bath with Epsom salts in the evening can make or break or increase that magnesium deficiency in your body, as well as give you that opportunity to de-stress a little bit, which is always a nice thing. Putting yourself into that sympathetic nervous system mode, which is always good too for the absorption of minerals and vitamins and food for anything, really, basically. Always having that de-stressing time to be able to incorporate things into your system. Just a little side note that, if you're stressed when you're eating or you're taking your pills or you're doing whatever, your body probably won't take in as much as you would like to, or you think that you are, because digestion shuts down in stressful times. Guts, they shut down. They don't work properly. These things don't work because everything is being shunted to a different area of your body because they believe that you are going to be eaten by a tiger. That's the stress levels that everybody is at. And digestion just is like, no, brain doesn't work properly. The energy and the body mechanics are the energy is being put into an area that is going to save your life from that tiger that's going to eat you. That's what your body feels like it's going on. So it really makes a difference when you start to really de-stress and allow yourself that opportunity to de-stress while you're eating, while you're taking your meds or your pills or your supplements or whatever, and trying to maintain that. Just for the added absorption of things too. So having an Epsom salt bath is going to be wonderful for you on many, many levels. And then taking in that magnesium as a result at that point too. So as far as aching joints and pain and different things like that, again, it comes down to inflammation. And I know Dana and I, we talk about inflammation almost on the daily. And it, and going through the situation with this lady that we were talking to, she is pretty much gluten-free, but if she doesn't have if she isn't celiac and doesn't really require total no gluten in her diet, there's going to be opportunities where gluten does come in. And as we age, our body's going to get more sensitive to that as well too. It kind of builds up. It's going to, have that exponential effect on our bodies with regards to pain and aches and things like that. And it's going to feel worse than it did back when we were 30 for obvious reasons that, we have that added, things are just not absorbing properly. Our livers are not working properly. We can do as many yoga classes and sit in meditation all day long too. But if the overwhelm is there, if the adrenals are not working properly, if the liver's not working properly, if we're constipated, if things are not being flushed out, that's that buildup of toxins again. And you're, first of all, not going to get any nutrients from the foods, the good foods that you are taking in, or the supplements. And second of all, you're just retoxifying yourself all the time, And it comes back down to detoxing and coming back to that baseline and then working back up from there again too. So, and when we talk about coming down to that baseline, it is removing those inflammatory foods, gluten, dairy, sugar, and I'm talking refined sugars. A lot of carbs, but not all of them. The carbs that you're going to have in your diet would be very much complex carbs, the wheat-free carbs, and what's the other one? Dairy for a lot of people. But people say, "Oh, I only have a little bit of cream in my coffee." Well, that's still dairy, and if you are sensitive to it, and like I said, sometimes our sensitivities increase as we age, especially with the liver not working properly or the backup of toxins in our system. We're going to be more sensitive to even the smallest amounts of food or the inflammatory products that we're taking in. The other big thing with inflammation is stress. So I'm just going right back to what we were talking about with stress. And stress is one of the biggest inflammatory markers, or not markers, inflammatory conducer. I can't remember the word. It causes a lot of inflammation in the body anyway. So, again, it comes down, if you do a lot of yoga, if you sit in meditation, but you still live a really stressful life, or you are the type of person that's very hyper ongoing, you're going to have inflammation in your body, and it's going to take its toll after a certain amount of time. And, these are things that we can see in live blood. These are things that we can see in the thermography and be able to really work. And it's not going to be something that's going to take, it's going to take a little bit more than just like a regular detox. From my perspective, I would probably say to somebody to go through a 14-day detox, but have the added support of liver, kidney, and lymph, but also making sure that person is dry brushing, making sure that person is not constipated, making sure that person is drinking a lot of fluids, dry brushing, rebounding, moving their bodies on the regular. And after that, continuing that for at least a good 6 to 8 months to really get to a point where you are feeling better, that the inflammation is decreased in your system, that you have de-stressed and you are kind of in that de-stressed mode all the time. I know it's not always conducive. Like, we can't always get rid of our stress. We're always going to have stress in our lives in one form or another, but it's how we handle the stress. There's good stress and bad stress too. I've been listening to a lot of people over the last week talking about, I can't remember the word right now, but there's such thing as a good stress. So stress from exercise and different things like that, but that's still stress. And if you're not able to process it and handle it properly, then it's not going to be working in your body properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. And I think, identifying the stressors, listing them out, keeps things a little more focused so that you can remember things a little differently, how the food is responding, how your supplements are making you feel, or how the food is making you feel, what your sleep patterns are. Journaling is very helpful, especially as we age, where you're trying to multitask and things get lost in the wayside. But identifying your stressors, what's causing stress, so that you can actually put a tool beside it, and you can, how are you going to manage this? How are you going to manage that? But it's also, talking about this, or learning how to recognize that you have bacteria, that you have a yeast infection, that you have a cavity. These are stressors in the body that are pulling away all of your energy to heal.
Yep.
And that is, you need to identify those things. These are things that, that, I always have that. That's going to be your demise. So you have to recognize and effectively treat any of these low-grade things that you're not too concerned about.
Yeah, and things that you've come to realize are normal, quote unquote.
Yeah, you think are normal. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is what you and I do for a living, basically, is we're investigators, basically, to figure out what it is. I mean, okay, so you don't eat gluten, so you don't eat dairy, so you're not eating sugar, you're working out all the time, you're meditating for 20 minutes a day, you're drinking 3 liters
You're
of
not,
water.
you don't get it.
What
You're not getting it. It's not
yeah,
it. Good try.
exactly. There's
Keep
something
going.
else. So we
Yeah,
have to get to
it's
the
something
bottom of
else.
that.
And
Yeah.
so then that's where the series of questions or the
Mhm.
investigations, or we ask the strange questions. And it's like, and this is where women are feeling. They're feeling like, okay, there's nothing I haven't done. I
Yeah.
am so tired and fed up of not eating, so tired and fed up of not living life. And it's like, okay, well, you missed it.
Yeah.
We have to start back, and we have to understand where exactly the missing link is that
Mhm.
you're actually not taking care of.
Yeah.
And you know what? 9 times out of 10, it's emotional and mental. Like
Oh my goodness, yes. I was
it
just
is,
gonna say that.
yeah,
That
it's literally your inability to let go and forgive,
mhm.
or to move on, or to um, speak your voice and speak out loud and express yourself, or it is so many different things, or traumas, or
Yes.
you can be so traumatized, and you can have all of these different things that you have not just found that right person to do counseling with, to
Yep.
find that right person to help you with these emotional um, mental components. And that's what's so great about having an integrative network of people across your area, or in Sudbury specifically, because one tool is not the right thing for one person. And I don't do mental health, so I'm going to recommend you to the people in our network who actually focus on these things. And
Yep.
and there's a point of, following through with a practitioner as well. I mean, it's repeating the story with all these new people, because it's you can't find that right person, but it's you have to follow through and make a commitment with a person in a
Mhm.
health practitioner. And so many times I've run into women where they're from jumping, but they're repeating their story. So
Yes.
it's reliving the trauma, reliving the experience, reliving all this again. And at some point you have to stop,
Mhm.
and you have to connect and stay with, and allow that process and that promise that they've created for you to actually follow through.
Mhm.
And I think another thing that gets me is that they don't want to share with their medical doctors, because they think that they'll get their hands slapped for supplementation, or
Oh,
for
yeah.
seeking help in an alternative or
Mhm.
holistic. And I'm like, no, you have to talk. You
Yeah.
have to let them know, whether they like it or not. You're
Mhm.
creating a healthcare team. But anyways,
Yeah. It's most definitely, yeah.
yeah. And it's, these are, and if you're having problems, always, and if you're taking a bunch of prescription medicines as well, please go to your pharmacist, because your side effects of pain, and your side effects of loose stool, or your side effects of constipation may be part of your prescription medicine. And this is a
Oh,
discussion
yeah.
you need to have with your pharmacist, because
Mhm.
these could be bad side effects. So
Most definitely. I mean, even aches and pains, I mean, they could be a sign of something beyond what is our scope of understanding. So looking towards more of a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis, or once you get an established situation, or if they can't help you or give you a diagnosis of what's going on, then that's when you come back to us, and we kind of look at that underlying situation of what could be going on, and then work up from there. We don't diagnose by any means. We can't give that official idea of what it is that you're looking at. So I mean, even with thermography and the live blood, I can't see specific diseases. I can see tendencies towards disease. I can see that inflammation, the acidity in the body, lack of a few different nutrients, if your adrenals are overworked, or if your liver is overstressed, or anything like
mhm,
this.
mhm.
I can see that. Those are tendencies towards, if I see like a big stress going on in the body, or in a certain area in the blood, then we're like, okay, well, you should be cleaning this up so you don't get into a big problems later on down the road. And usually when we start cleaning up the liver and and decreasing the inflammation and, clean up the diet and improving the lifestyle, that's when these symptoms start to really regulate and decrease as a result. I mean, even from a very medical perspective, doctors, you can reverse heart disease, you can reverse diabetes, you can reverse these things through diet and natural means. These are scientific proofs nowadays. This is normal, that everybody knows. So it's just a matter of figuring out which diet, which foods you have to take out, what foods are, perhaps things that you are hypersensitive to and maybe even allergic to, cleaning up your gut, healing the gut. And this is how, and the things that Dana and I do every day in our practice, because this is what we do. We instruct and recommend ways to heal the gut, clean up that SIBO that's going on. That could be a total different topic altogether. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth is still a big thing out there, and it's probably maybe not talked about enough. Maybe this is something that we should be discussing on the regular as well too. So, and learning how and this is not something that's, you take a pill and you're okay next week. These are things that take anywhere from 6 to 2 years to clean up, because it's a slow process, but you want to be able to clean it up and heal it and then have no worries about it afterwards, or at least decreased worries about it anyways. Human beings, we tend to fall back into old patterns, and that's another step of the process too, is healing up old patterns and getting away from them, because we don't want to fall back into, you do all the hard work to get rid of heart disease or diabetes or the aches and pains, or heal the gut, and then we're like, oh, this is fabulous, now I can eat Cheetos and beer for the rest of my life and I'm not going to have a problem. Well, no, it's going to come back. It's but that's just human nature, and this is where Dana and I really strive to help clients from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So did you have any people asking you questions before? I think we've pretty much covered that.
I think that's pretty much it. Mine's always that too much, how much, and where or what kind. And there's lots of good kinds out there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's lots of great food that contain magnesium. And you want to make sure that you have that different thing. And the nice thing, the calcium's a great supplement to support, but there's so many other things you have to incorporate to make sure it actually gets to the bone, right? So you always want to make sure you're doubling the amount of magnesium to the calcium that you're taking, so that there's an opportunity of absorption, and your natural sources of vitamin K, which is important to drive the bone in as well, and don't up your K, just keep that as your recommended daily dose. And in boron and all these different other catalysts you need to have in your diet to make sure that the calcium reaches the bone, or that the magnesiums, or things like that. So always that natural food, like that kale and spinach and all those things are great to utilize, because you want to make sure that the magnesium is absorbed at different levels, and it is utilized at different levels, and calcium is actually utilized and absorbed, and all these different things. And that's why it's great to keep most of it as a natural food supplement or a natural food base, because then that process in food happens, and that whole great synergy of things occur. So
yeah, most definitely. And it is that synergy. I mean, we could say, actually, speaking of synergy, I'm just looking at on the full script dispensary that we have, the AOR synergy powder. Is $46. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really nice actually. There's really no taste to it. You can add it to a lot of things. but it is great for all ages.
Yeah.
So it's a really great, and it really what your body needs, it's going to pull.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally has a great synergy. It has quite a different variety of different magnesiums in there.
Yeah.
Because different tissues, different processes all need different forms, and it's just making it more bioavailable for the body to utilize.
Yeah, it has actually it has magnesium gluconate and magnesium malate. It actually has potassium in it and chromium, manganese, which is one of the ones that I see that a lot of people are deficient in as well too. Zinc is another one. Selenium, vitamin B6. This is another one of the B vitamins that a lot of us we don't talk about enough. And it is so essential for absorption, and it's actually one of the precursors for glutamate. Glutamate. I think it's glutamate production, which is the precursor for tryptophan, which is the precursor for serotonin, which is the happy drug. So one of it's like that accumulative effect over and over and over again, that we need to have one thing to have the other, to have the other, to have the other. It's just, it's not to say that, okay, so serotonin is made in the gut, so we have to have a happy gut and add probiotics. Well, no, if you're low in B6 and then you're not producing this and you're not making that to make this, then you're not going to have it. Oh, but I eat enough and I take this. Well, no, that's not enough. You have to have all the steps to be able to. The body is very complex, and it's just not like, oh, I'll have kale and it'll be converted into calcium and that'll be good enough. Well, not really. Sorry to say, there's a few things that you have to understand about the whole thing. And a broccoli that we used to get back in the 50s is about a third of the nutrients that the broccoli that we have today. So just that's a little bit of food for thought, just because of the soil depletion of all the nutrients themselves, factory farming, and and that leaves our meat actually to be deficient as well too, because first of all, it's got some crazy fat in it, but second of all, animals, what do? They eat plants, and that's where they get their nutrients. So if they're not getting their nutrients from the plants, and I'm sure there's no cows out there that are eating broccoli, the meat that we're eating as well too is not going to have the amount of nutrients that we need as well too. So including milk, you see a lot of commercials. I've seen a lot of commercials. They're really pushing a lot of cows and dairy milk, which is fine. I'm not going to say one thing against it from that perspective, but at the same time, these are added stuff. I'm pretty sure
added.
It's added magnesium, it's added zinc, it's added all these things. So if you don't get a product into your body, or a supplement into your body that is whole and has the added stuff into it, really look at the product that you're taking in and really try to, be very precise about the stuff that you're taking in if you want to make some real changes in your health, for sure. That's it for today.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Next week, we are going to be talking more about our programs. Wise Divine Women, Touch Your Tatas, the detox that's coming up, the cleanse, hanging out in the office more, and doing the live blood. Maybe we should do a live blood session next week. Show everybody. Sure. And, talk about the thermography more and stuff like that. Oh, but you're going to be traveling next week, aren't you?
I'm away Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah. So we're going to have to talk about that. Okay. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. Make some good choices. Have some fun, though, too. First of all, have fun. Relax. And then make good choices. It's supposed to be really warm, so we have to enjoy ourselves.
Have fun and don't make good choices and live life to the fullest.
There you go. Yeah, because do what I do, not as I say, or do as I say, not as I do.
Oh, life's too short. Live it. Go for a walk. Go roll in the snow. Go hop in the hot tub. Go live.
Can we come to your hot tub?
No.
Wall pond
It's
in
not
the
big
hot
enough.
tub.
It's not big enough. It's not big enough. But, you know, like it's going to be another beautiful, incredible weekend.
It
So
is, yeah.
go for a skate. Don't
Oh, that
wait.
would be nice. Yeah.
Go for a skate at Kivy Park. Get outside and go skating on the Rideau Canal. Do something that you normally wouldn't do or you should be doing this weekend. And the limit, most of the limits across Ontario are sort of off. But if you're anywhere, just get outside. Go
Yep.
for a walk, go for a stroll, go cross-country skiing, go snowshoeing, go downhill skiing while the ski hills are still open. Enjoy winter. If not, grab a great book and a beautiful cup of tea and sit and read and relax and do something to nourish your mind, body, and soul. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way to finish it. Good. All right. Take care, everybody. If you have any questions, you know where we're at. Bye.
bye.